Welcome to Fox Valley in Focus. I'm your host, Barb Nadeau. Today we're going to focus on our natural world with four great guests. Adam Johnson from Kendall County Health Department is going to talk about January Radon Action Month. Avery Chloe is the president of the Salmonak-Leland Sandwich FFA, talking about the future of agriculture. We have philanthropist Jerry Lundeen talking about growing hope globally. And our first guest is going to be Dan Reedy, manager of the Kendall County Farm Bureau. We'll get started right after this.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Dan Reedy is the manager of the Kendall County Farm Bureau. And Dan, thank you for coming. You and I have known each other for years, and it's just a joy to have you on this show today.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here.
So I understand that after all your years in the Farm Bureau, you're now looking towards retirement, and I couldn't miss the opportunity to find out more about farming in Kendall County and farming in general in this Midwest area. So.
Sure. I'm at the end of my career. 37 and a half years I've been with the Kendall County Farm Bureau. I'll be retiring in February. I started in Kendall County as a young pup, so to speak. In 1981, June 1st, is when I started my job at the Kendall County Farm Bureau. And of course, way back then, Kendall County was very different than what it is today. We had approximately a little under 900 farmer members at that time, and now we're down to about 440 to 450. And of course, and that just kind of shows the change of agriculture, if you will. Back then, many of our farmers had smaller plots as far as acreage they were concerned, maybe 300 to 400 acres. And of course, now we have many farmers who are farming thousands of acres. The efficiency of which they've come from 1981 to today is phenomenal as far as what can be done in such a shorter time. And that, of course, has become because of technology, the size of the machinery that is being used, as well as the knowledge and changes in our seed and fertilizers.
Now, you've always told me that Kendall County is a farm-friendly county, and for those people who are new to Kendall County, what does that mean?
Many, many years ago, I think it was probably in the early to mid 80s, the county board determined that they could see that the possible changes were going to happen in our community. And so they basically stated that agriculture is an industry in Kendall County. So if you are moving to Kendall County, you must not enjoy, but there's the sights, sounds, and smells of agriculture that you may not be used to. So by moving into that rural area of the county, these are the things you must put up with. And that has been a problem in some of our areas to the east, because a lot of our farmers are part-time, or some of them are part-time farmers, which they do a lot of their work in the evening. Well, there are areas, and not so far to the east of Kendall County, where cops have come out and told the guys they have to quit. The sights, sounds, smells, and so forth and so on, they don't want to hear them. Well, our Kendall County Board approved that. And the only thing is, it is put on the deeds of homes that are built in the agricultural areas on the first deed. The individuals who might purchase that property from there on out
might not know.
May not see that, correct.
But what about the size of the money that comes in from agriculture, and what does that mean for the county? This is still a huge part of our county.
Exactly. Agriculture commodities and their sales are still one of the biggest industries in Kendall County. And typically, of course, as we know, corn and soybeans are the king, if you will, of crop production in Kendall County, except that interestingly enough, we have a few other what we consider non-agricultural. Kendall County is number 2 in sod production in the state of Illinois, which makes sense. We are very high
So
in
we're supporting these new
Yes.
businesses and developments.
Exactly, because sod is basically for new homes and so forth and so on. And actually, we're pretty high up in the nursery business also. I think we're in the top 5 in the state of Illinois for nursery businesses. Well, that makes sense with all the home ownership and the new homes that have been built over the last 15 to 20 years. We have to have sod and flowers and so forth and so on. So that's a big business. Now, a lot of people don't think that as agriculture, but yes, it is. It's one of those small segments that is growing in our geographical area that is big business. Besides the corn and soybeans.
As the farms are getting larger and the number of farmers are getting less, are there still opportunities?
There are opportunities, yes, but you have to have the resources to do so. We have a large group of young people who are coming back to Kendall County, but they're in agribusiness, and we understand that. Now, a few, if they have the availability of farming with family, they've got a leg up, because simply the cost of starting an operation, renting the land, having the equipment is astronomical for young farmers. And so we do have some that have come back and are working with a family. But we look at those young people that are coming back into the ag professions, which, again, great big area of not only in Kendall County but surrounding. The opportunities for kids who are graduating from 4-year ag schools in Illinois or Iowa or wherever they're coming from is phenomenal. The agriculture industry is one place a young person who has that degree can find a job. Now, it may not be right at your home or in your home county, but the job is there depending upon what area you want to go into.
It is so fascinating, and I wish I could keep talking to you forever, but I'm going to stop you there.
Sure.
And I'm going to catch up with what Jerry and
Sure.
Avery are doing in our next segment. But I always learn so much when I come and do this show, and I want to thank you for being
Well, thank
my
you. It
guest.
has been my pleasure.
And we'll be right back right after this.
Seeing you again. You look good, girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
Take care.
we will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
Avery Chloe joins us now. He's the president of the Salmonak-Leland Sandwich FFA. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Before we went on the air, you were just telling me how unique it is that there's a 3-town club. So tell me a little bit more about that.
So our FFA chapter is, like you said, has members from the Leland High School, the Salmonak High School, and the Sandwich High School. And that's a little different than most FFA chapters, because most FFA chapters, like all the other ones in my FFA section and most of the FFA chapters around the country, I think, only have one high school. So it's a little different for us. I'm from Leland, but I get bused over to Salmonak during the day to take classes over there. And Sandwich Kids, it's the same way. So coordinated events and when things are going to happen, getting members to come from the other schools is always a challenge, but it's also, in a way, an advantage, because then you get ideas, you get members from a broader spectrum than just one high school.
Now, back in the day, it was Future Farmers of America, but now it's officially FFA. Does that speak to a change in focus, or what does that mean?
So the FFA changed its name from the Future Farmers of America to the National FFA Organization to represent kind of a broader spectrum of agriculture rather than just farming. In our FFA chapter, we have some members who are from farms. I myself am from a farm, but most of our members are not from an agricultural background. So FFA is an organization where you can learn about agriculture, you can grow in agriculture, you can develop a career in agriculture and an understanding of agriculture. But other than that, you can just develop your own personal skills, you can help develop your community, your chapter and yourself. Those are all sorts of things that you can do through FFA.
Well, when you talk about grow in agriculture, what are some of the different things that you and your classmates are looking for as far as careers? What are the options that are available?
There's so many different agricultural careers. When you think of agriculture, you probably think of that person who's on the tractor all day and just farming. But there's a whole broader spectrum from ag technology to a bunch of different sciences, from engineering to seed and crop development to food science.
So you have kids going into biology, technology, computers, GPS monitoring systems. All of those things are available to someone through FFA?
Yep, and we have classes that can kind of get you on the path to go into those careers. We have food science and global agriculture is a class we'll be starting next year. I'm currently in the ag technology class, plant and animal science, vet science, mechanics, construction, and of course your general intro to ag classes.
And the one thing that always impressed me is that there's got to be a great leadership component in FFA, because all the young people I meet who are part of FFA are so well spoken as you are. So tell me, how does it help you develop as an individual?
So before I joined FFA, I would consider myself a relatively talkative person, but I definitely wasn't very capable of public speaking. So through FFA, my freshman year in Intro to Ag, you are basically forced to recite the creed, the FFA creed, in front of your classmates. There's opportunities for public speaking all throughout FFA and competition as well. One of the things that helps FFA, in my opinion, to be so great is that it has competition between the chapters to develop your own personal skills in these areas. So from different types of public speaking to parliamentary procedure and other sorts of leadership development events, you can develop your own skills while competing against other FFA chapters.
And that's also going to help you in your career as you develop, and you're going to be competing against other people for jobs, for opportunities, and advancing wherever you are. It's going to help you. So Avery, let me ask you about the support you get in the community. Can you tell us how we can get involved in FFA? And you were telling me there's an FFA alumni.
Yeah, so there's FFA chapters all across the state and all across the country. So if you have an FFA chapter in your community, if you're a student, high school student like me, some FFA chapters have junior high programs as well. I'd encourage getting involved, because FFA's helped develop me as a person. It helps you to develop your community. It helps you to become a better overall person. If you're an adult and you're looking to support the FFA, there's FFA alumni chapters all around the state as well, supporting their FFA chapters. And you don't have to be an actual member of the FFA or have been a member of the FFA to join the FFA alumni. You just have to be a supporter of the FFA.
So you take even somebody like me that has never been involved in farming. I could come and learn more about your club and actually help support it in the future.
Yep, and our FFA alumni that we have at Salmonak Leland Sandwich is very supportive and helps us to learn more and put on events throughout the year. They are definitely a great alumni chapter. So,
how can we follow you? How can we learn more? Do you have a social media presence or a website or anything like that?
So we have online, we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram, I believe, and we are also currently in the process of building a website. It's not completely finished yet, but if you are looking for it later, we're in the process of getting on that stage of our FFA chapter and being able to branch out in that direction through technology.
Fantastic. Keep a lookout for this young man and for all of the youth of the Salmonak Leland Sandwich FFA. These are our young leaders of tomorrow, and I want to thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
Their support changed my life.
They were like family.
My voice is now heard.
A home for every animal.
My future is bright because they cared.
This is our home now.
Thank you to the 1,200 nonprofits that serve Cass and Clay counties every day.
Jerry Lundeen joins us now. Jerry, you had been here before for Food Resource Bank. Thank you for coming, but now you're here for a new organization or a new name?
It's a new name.
Okay.
Food Resource Bank was a great organization with a really clunky name. You know, it's not good messaging when you have to tell people who you're not before you start talking who you are. So the new name is Growing Hope Globally. We're a World Hunger Organization that helps people in developing countries feed themselves. Rather than shipping them food, we work with them to basically become self-sustaining.
Now, how did you get involved with this group way back when, and tell me more about how it accomplishes its mission?
Well, the organization started about 1999, so we're coming up on a 20-year anniversary. I saw this program on television. There was a small segment about it, and then it was so intriguing the way this organization works. We work with a lot of mainline Christian organizations that do development work, but this is a special ag component of that. For example, Lutheran World Relief for Catholic Relief Services, or UMCAR, already has a presence in a lot of these developing countries. And so they're doing a broad spectrum of development. But when it comes to the ag component, they come to Growing Hope to help fill that niche part of that.
So you're using the information, the knowledge base that you have here in our agriculturally based community and taking it across the world? To a certain extent. Actually, every program is tailored to the individual community's needs. It's almost like a grant application. They tell us what they need to be successful. A lot of times, like in sub-Saharan Africa, there's a water component or something that they need to, so they can be more self-sustaining. Sometimes it's an improved crop, broad spectrum crop, nutrition. So we work with them individually because we want them to tell us what they need rather than us telling them what they need. What's the most, the project that impressed you most, that you've actually been involved with? Because I know that you and your wife have been able to travel across the world to do things for people through this program.
Well, they're all fairly similar. A lot of them, it's basically, it's not large-scale agriculture. It's almost like a garden at a time type thing. Certain areas of the world can get maybe 3 or 4 crops, and so it's a rotation of basically different vegetables. So it helps nutritionally their intake.
It helps them, but it also helps the soil, and it keeps it
exactly.
going.
There's always
if I remember from back in the day, school.
There's always an education component. There's always, sustainability of the earth component, conservation, those type of things. So it's a long-term benefit to both them and the ground they're farming.
Now, you had given me a website, it's growinghopeglobally.org.
Correct.
And I think this is intriguing because as Dan was talking about how large our farms have come, you're bringing us right back to the garden and the basics. So people who are interested in agriculture and what's going on are going to be really intrigued, I think, by some of the projects that they're going to see that you've done.
Yeah, they are. This is not agriculture 200 years ago. This is more like agriculture 400 years ago. It's really down to the basics. There's no machinery involved. It's all hand labor, a lot of hoe, a lot of spade work, that type of thing. But it's showing how to use compost to enrich the soil. So it's really kind of way back to the beginning. We had a guest stay with us from Honduras, Edilberto, and took him around to some of our area farmers, and they were showing him their combine, and they said, "Wouldn't that be great if you had this combine in your country?" He says, "Oh no, what would the people do? They need the labor. Labor is so important that would displace too many people." So sometimes our scale and their scales and our needs and our ideas, what's good for them, don't always match. So that's why we have to listen to them.
I'm also impressed by the fact that there's people here locally that are involved in this project, and locally you've made quite an impact, haven't you?
Yeah, again, I've never suffered from hunger and malnutrition and everything. It's hard for us to fathom growing up in this farm belt that's with such rich soils and everything, that people would suffer from hunger. There's 3 growing projects that come together in the fall for a harvest celebration. That's the Somonauk Area Growing Project, the Earlville Area Growing Project, and the Ottawa-Barrington Area Project. And just recently we totaled up what all of us have raised together. And this last harvest celebration we had in October, we've raised over $1 million.
That's amazing.
It is amazing because it's not huge gifts at a time. It's just as we band together as a group of people, we can accomplish quite a bit.
It's an amazing story, and I want to urge everyone to check out that website, Growing Hope Globally. And I want to thank you so much for sharing that story, just a little bit of it. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Avery Chloe about the future of agriculture. We'll be right back.
Seeing you again. You look good, girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
take care.
We will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
We've been talking about our natural world here on Fox Valley in Focus, and now we're going to bring it right into our own homes. Our guest is Adam Johnson from the Kendall County Health Department to talk about January Radon Action Month. Thanks for being here, Adam.
Of course.
And tell me again, what is radon and how did it get to be a problem in our homes?
Okay. Well, radon is a naturally occurring gas in the environment. It's all over the world. It's the natural breakdown process of uranium. So wherever uranium is in the soil, as it continues to break down throughout its stage of its life, it goes from uranium to radium to then radon, which is a gas, and eventually will emit through the soil, get into the air. And so it's pretty much everywhere, but it becomes that problem is when it comes through the cracks of the home and then concentrates.
And I've heard that we're in this Midwest area, especially right in our local viewing area, it's really a problem.
Mm-hmm. So like I said, again, it's wherever the uranium is, and Illinois has just a very dense area of uranium in the soil. It's naturally occurring. There's nothing we can do about that. Other than be aware. But yes, Illinois in itself is a very high cluster of it, and so that brings the radon problem.
And so it's underneath our homes. It's around the foundation of our homes. And so when do we know that it's actually a problem in our homes?
So it is a colorless, odorless gas. There's no way to detect it other than through a professional test. There's testing from $5, or there's testing to around $500, depending on the level of you want.
Oh my goodness.
And that's the only way you can know if you have radon.
Okay. How do I get a test? And what do I do? Do I get the $5 test or the $500 test?
So we like to tell people that the $5 test is kind of a snapshot in time of what the radon is. It's usually a 72-hour test. It is very cost effective to figure it out. Again, $5. And that's going to give you that snapshot. We say from there, you kind of take those results and you contact a licensed radon tester or mitigator. You kind of let them know your initial results, and then they'll kind of take you through a process to kind of figure out, okay, what's the long-term exposure here? because, depending on, the time of year, if we have our windows open, what are we doing with our home, the radon levels can fluctuate all over the place. So they're going to come in with this more long-term test that's going to show you really what's your actual exposure, where this, short-term test will just kind of give you that snapshot in time.
How hard is it to mitigate radon?
For the professionals, not that hard.
But there's a lot of people who are probably thinking, well, yeah, I've heard this before. You're reminding me again, and I'm blowing it off. I'm not going to worry about it because I don't want to go through the process of adjusting or doing something to the foundation of my home. So what kind of advice can you give us?
It's hard to convince people that a problem they may experience could be 40 years down the road. This type of, radon causes lung cancer. This isn't something that's going to happen tomorrow. So it's very hard to convince someone, like I said, this is a problem much further down the road. But when you kind of tie it back to, well, do you have kids? Are they in the basement a lot? Or I myself grew up, my parents, they had a high count of radon, which I found out, way after the fact, but I was always in the basement. So it's explaining that to, people that, while you may not care, you have kids and everyone cares about their kids. So
forgive yourself for what you didn't do in the past, but now today is the day, this is the month, and what is the Kendall County Health Department doing to help our local residents?
So we do things like this, we come on, we spread the news, we don't mitigate, we don't look at your...
physically do
correct.
that.
So we're more educational.
Do you help us with test kits? Can you help us find where we can get them?
Yes, so that we do have that 72-hour test kit. It's $6. If you get the coupon off the website, it's $5. And again, that's the snapshot one. It's very cheap, cost effective, and then you kind of go from there into, you may not have a problem. And then you're kind of good to go, but at least you know. It's kind of that, calming, okay, I don't really have a problem. So, but, it's 50-50 in Kendall County, that you'll have 4 or above or not.
Okay.
So.
And you 4, what does the number 4?
4 is what the EPA sets as the action limit. So they, through science and things like that, they've come to say that 4 or anything above that is where you can start to develop that problem in terms of more likely, yes, it becomes that concern. And anything less than that is deemed safe. But at the same time, no level of a carcinogen is safe. But it's very hard to, say we need a 0. So, but the World Health Organization says 2. So there's, like I said, there's no safe level of carcinogen. So they can't just come out and say 0 because that's very hard to attain.
Yeah. The one thing I appreciate is how proactive and interactive our health department is in actually going out and making this information aware, not just doing what you have to do, by law in your office or to people coming to the office, but I appreciate the fact that you came here and you're telling us and that you're actually out in the community sharing this news with all of us. Yeah. I just think it's a great benefit. Kendall County Health has got a great website where you can find all this information and it's easy to remember. What is that?
It is kendallhealth.org. And there's, a bunch of different things that we do with the health department, but there is a Radon tab for more information. You can go to that, get everything you need, and that's where that coupon is as well. So you can grab that off there and bring it in and get your Radon test kit.
Fantastic. So. Adam, thanks for coming out today, and thank you for being with us on Fox Valley in Focus. For Fox Valley Television, I'm Barb Nadeau.